Hello everyone, Lakeisha Walker here. I chose to review the Quantitative Project Secondary Dataset Capstone. This capstone will show the correlation between nonprofit organizational income and commercial activities. So in looking at the rubric of this capstone, the first portion of the rubric goes over the project introduction, research question and hypothesis, theoretical framework, and literature review. All of those components were present after, reviewing the capstone. One thing that I noticed about the literature review is that majority of the literature is current. I think the latest that I saw was about 6 years ago, and everything is up to date. So I thought that was pretty cool. And it's actually one of the things that I am taking into consideration in starting to build out my capstone is to use, current literature. So I thought that was pretty cool. The design of study is there. And then once I got to the project findings portion of the capstone, that's where I began to have a little bit of confusion. So the data tables were very, very easy to read. However, looking at the statistics, I guess just reading the statistics, it was very hard to follow. And I don't know if that is because I have zero prior knowledge of anything that is business, related. So I don't have an understanding of nonprofit organizations and how they work necessarily as it relates to the capstone problem. So in looking at the information, I did become quite a bit confused. I looked it over uh, several times to see that I can kind of put together a better understanding, but overall, it was difficult to read. The paper was organized, and once we got to the conclusion portion of the paper, although I had a hard time understanding the statistics, the conclusion portion did a good job of just kind of summing everything up. So in the hypothesis, the author said that they would probably more than likely not find substantial correlations between organizational profit and the activities. And that is stated clearly in the conclusion that the hypothesis equals the outcome. So I was able to gather that information. The references were there, the paper guidelines, everything was great with that. As far as the writing quality, I noted that the language of the paper is very professional and scholarly. It was easy to read, easy to follow. So I gave it a pass with probably saying that the author should go back and look at the project findings section. And I'm unsure if it was a me problem or the capstone problem. Because, like I said before, I do not have any prior knowledge of this particular wheelhouse. So, yeah, as a reader with no information, that part was a bit confusing. However, because the paper was well written, I did learn something about nonprofit organizations and how they work. So that is my review. Thank you.